On this week's edition of Yep, That's Wood, we have an Emerson Hardwood. Model CF796CW. CW means cherrywood, so it's polished brass with cherrywood blades and cherrywood top and bottom plates. This fan was probably made in the early 2000s. Came new in its box. At one point, the happy crap I found this one had a whole bunch of them, but when I went back, there was only this one, which had the top of its box ripped off, and it was just one bit of styrofoam, and everything was just loose in the box. So, but it was complete. So, cool. Oh yeah, nice and shiny. Yeah. So this fan is made by King of Fans. It's been around since, this model has been around since the 80s. Since the late 80s or so. About 85, 86, I want to say. Alright. They started making this as the Northwind Hardwood, because the Northwind series was a series of imported fans made by Shenyang or Alaska. Right? And yeah, it was a 4-blade model. And then eventually it became a 5-blade model, which was available in a few finishes. Antique brass and oak was one of them. I think rosewood and polished, or excuse me, cherrywood and polished brass, I think was a, whatchamacallit, I gotta turn this on mute. I think was a finish option. And then in 96, things went to King of Fans. At that point we had bleached oak and antique white, cherrywood and polished brass, antique brass and oak. And later on, when this model came out, in I think 2000, that was the redesign. Right? They also had it in oak with black, which was pretty cool. Also maple with brushed steel. That one I wouldn't mind finding. This fan has a 188 by 12 millimeter spinner motor in it. So it's kind of one of those middle of the road kind of models Emerson made. So it has a 14-degree blade pitch. And we're going to see how it performs. Put it on low. Pretty quiet. So when this fan was new, it was part of their, their mid-tier section, right? In the 2000s, Emerson had things set into tiers, right? You had your top tier, which everything had an Emerson K55, a rubber flywheel, all that good stuff. Those had a lifetime warranty. Then you had your mid-tier, which everything had a 188 or so spinner motor. Everything had a 30-year warranty, which, to be honest, is a pretty good length of time for something to last before things start realistically going weird, like bearings or capacitors, Then you had the low tier, right, which was 153 millimeter motors and such, like the Northwind and related things. Then you had your shit tier builder, blah blah blah, who cares. And then you had the industrials, which were their own thing, which I think only had a 2-year warranty. God knows why. But yeah, so this was their mid-tier. Had a 188, but not a big one. Just enough to make it adequate. So let's go to medium. Only the slightest hum. Which in reality is not bad. And the bearings have a slight whirl to them, but that's because, oh, they're breaking in. So the speed range so far is pretty average. You have a decent low speed, not too aesthetic, but not too fast. Alright, and then you have medium, which is average. Comparable to Casablanca's medium, really. Oh, let's go to high. Dead silent. Even on high speed. Just like the Alaskas, really. The Alaskas, if anything, they have a hum on high speed but are dead silent on the secondary speeds. This one's just quiet throughout. Which puts it, yeah, miles ahead of Hunter. Because all Hunters have a pretty audible hum. Which I hate. I hate it. Dead silence is the way to go. The only thing with this fan that kind of bugs me is the fob. The fob is walnut. It's not cherrywood to match. Speaking of cherrywood, yeah, Emerson just had to be different. They couldn't call it rosewood. They couldn't call it brushed nickel. They had to call it brushed steel. They had to call it cherrywood. Because it just had to not be like everyone else. In reality, this is more like a rosewood. Plain and simple. It is moving a good amount of air. Although I'd say it's doing about 175, 180 on high. Not quite Casablanca performance, 200 on high, but again, it's still a 14-degree blade pitch. It's not a slouch despite having only a 188 by 12. So, they're doing something right. Now this model was always kind of niche-y, It wasn't a particularly popular thing. Like it wasn't a huge seller because of its wood nature. Its wood trim. So. Don't see too many of these pop up anymore. And it has no wobble, which is perfect. Perfect. Let's let it coast. That's my phone buzzing. The only reason I really picked this up is because I think it was 75% off when I got to Happy Crap. So, that was cool. I love habitats that still have sails. Color tag, color wheel sails, Nice. And there you have it, a cherrywood and polished brass Emerson Hardwood.